Good morning! Is it the middle of the night where you are? Because it's the middle of the night where I am. Thought I'd bring you on a journey with me. As you can probably tell, I'm in the van. I'm on my way to do one of my weekly deliveries, or bi-weekly, no, not bi-weekly. Bi-weekly is every 2 weeks. What's twice a week? Bi-weekly is every 2 weeks. What's twice weekly? Doesn't really sound right. My twice weekly deliveries? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I'm literally, for those of you familiar with Navan, I just took the roundabout there at the Round O. I'm heading down towards the new bridge and the fire station. And I've a thank you to shout out to Mr. Tony Webster. Mr. Tony Webster has technically been on the show before. He was one of the 100 hours of recording that I would have done before I published this podcast. So cheers, Tony, for giving me a dig out in the early days. Tony said something interesting to me there, was it yesterday or the day before, just in a quick text message exchange. He mentioned that he was really enjoying the solo episodes. But he mentioned why. And he said what he liked about them was, I suppose, how unpredictable they were in a sense. Now that's putting words in his mouth. It's not what he said. What he said was he didn't know what was going to come out of my mouth next. And there's something, I don't know, since he said that, I think this is the third solo episode that I've recorded within 48 hours, say. And I've never done that. I've never been as ahead of myself in this 40-day thing. Now, I got a rush of blood to the head while I was talking there, and the notion popped into my head, ooh, what if I finish the 40 days within the 40 days? That'd be cool. But yeah, I'm gonna simmer on that one, because that is absolutely doable, because I recorded a 40-odd minute podcast yesterday, which will be one of the 3 within the 45 or within the 48 hours, and technically that could have been, 2 podcasts, 2 20-minute solo episodes. So I could have been sitting on 4 episodes in 2 days. But look, even if I did 4 episodes in 2 days, every day for the remainder of the 40 days, of which there are very little. Is this Easter weekend, or is that next weekend? Have I got like a week and a half left of, quote unquote Lent? Because the 40 days and 40 nights thing is a weird one, because I don't think that includes Sundays. I stand to be corrected on that now, but I don't think that includes Sundays. I hope the sound of this is good too, because it's pissing rain as I whiz by the Maxwell on the Dublin Road. For all of you fuckers from Navan who know what the hell that is. Shout out to Mr. Paul Sweeney, an ex-employer and I was going to say friend of the show. Paul would be a great guest actually, but I digress as usual. Mr. Webster, I haven't forgotten about you. I want to put out a kind of a public thank you to Mr. Webster, because I was, I suppose, filled with more anxiety than enthusiasm over the whole notion of not knowing what I was going to say next. But Tony said that that's what he likes about it. And my hearing somebody say that that's what they like about it almost made me enjoy the idea that I don't know what I'm going to say next. And I don't think I've paused the podcast since he said that. So that fucking 42 or 3 minute podcast I recorded yesterday, I hit record and that was it for 40, I think it was 42 or 43 minutes, 40 odd minutes. I hit record at the start of that and talked at a relatively fucking rapid pace for 42 minutes. I didn't know I was capable of doing something like that. I genuinely didn't. And I've mentioned before, in the earlier podcasts, I did tend to start them now. It wasn't overly noticeable, but you might have heard a little, just almost like a little skip. You know the way when you used to listen to CDs? I'm gonna lose my younger audience now by talking about CDs. Oh, what were you born in fucking black and white? CDs, huh, Grandpa? Fuck you. I was around when there was fucking tapes. Fucking bitch. Anyway, there goes my unpredictableness, not knowing what I'm going to say next. So yeah, a heartfelt thank you to Mr. Webster for that, because that's really kind of, I don't know, it's made me enjoy the solo podcast all the more. Not that I wasn't enjoying them, but I was conscious of what I was saying, and I certainly didn't get the utility of just, I suppose, the appreciation of not knowing what I was going to say next myself, because I'm listening back to them before I upload them to check the sound, and that's kind of an excuse, because the sound is always thereabouts pretty good, and I could dip in and out. Like if this ends up being a 20-minute one, or a half an hour one, or a 40-minute one, or whatever it ends up being, I can skip in 10 minutes. If the sound is good and skip in 10 minutes, and the sound is good in another 10 minutes, odds are the sound is good in between. But it's funny, it's kind of hard to remember what you say, in a weird sense, because I didn't hit record with the intention of talking about something. I'm not looking at notes, quite the contrary, I'm fucking driving. I'm just on the M3 here leaving Navan. I'm still not on the M3 proper. I'm actually just about to take that left turn that actually kind of brings you down onto the motorway. Yeah, so technically what I'm on is in the motorway, because the sign is, no, it is blue. I thought the sign in front of me was green, but that's just my headlights in the pitch black and the pissing rain. So yeah, it's 4:15 in the morning. Irish time, obviously, so to my Australian friends, good evening or good night. Yeah, that's about right, isn't it? Australian people in Australia land, hello. Those of you who missed my episode yesterday, I'm on Patreon. And just to explain what Patreon is, no, I won't do that to you. I torture people enough with my butchered explanation about patronage is, even though I call it patronage. I presume they're the same thing. Patronage, tomato, potato. Not that anyone ever called it a potato. So I'm not going to go into the explanation. I am going to correct the URL or the address that I gave yesterday. What I gave yesterday was www.patreon.com/offthelead. That's wrong, and I probably shouldn't have repeated it given that it's wrong. So what I will do is say what it is, because that'd help, wouldn't it? www.patreon.com/offthelead will get you to my page. Throw us €1 a month or more or whatever. If you can't, tell a friend and help move this whole thing along. But don't worry, I'm not going to get bogged down into that, and I am going to remind people about the podcast pretty relentlessly, but it'll be, at the end of the podcast, or if somebody goes for a fucking toilet break, I'll eat up that intervening time during my conversations with basically an ad promoting what I'm doing and how you can help. So when I listened back after my 40-odd minute recording yesterday, one thing that I realised was I had started talking about promoting the podcast and went off on one of my fucking rambly, ranty things and never got back to what I had said initially. And what I had said initially was I mentioned this idea of off-the-lead advertising. So I mentioned off-the-lead advertising and then went off on some mad tangent. I'm connecting to Bluetooth there, so I don't know how that's affecting me. Oh no, did she just come in and say connected? I think I'm okay. Yeah, I'll continue. I digress. Apologies. If you heard a weird electronic computer voice that said connected, that was my Bluetooth headphones kicking in and saying hi. So, off-the-lead advertising, yeah. What off-the-lead advertising is or will be, or what it's in my head as, is basically ways of promoting the off-the-lead philosophy, for want of a better term, or movement, whatever this thing is. And again, I'd very much like to hear from you in relation to what you think it is, because if you're not missing, solo episodes, if you listen to fucking 10 or 20 solo episodes, or 5 or 10 or 20 of the conversations that I'm having, you could easily have as good, if not a better idea of what I'm trying to do than I am, because I'm caught up in all my stuff. You get to kind of look at what I'm doing, or should I say listen to what I'm doing from from a different perspective maybe. So I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts on what you think this is, or what you think this could be. So as always, hit me up, imoffthelead@gmail.com. But anyway, I can't forget about this fucking idea of off-the-lead advertising, because that's something that I want a bit of feedback from as well, and a bit of help with, because I reckon there's a cute hooer or two amongst you who might be able to give me a dig out on this. I'm changing the logo. You'll notice that the logo has off the lead written across the top, and then underneath it has either encouraging or provoking conversations, depending on what platform you're listening to, because certain sites need certain sizes and blah blah blah. I haven't got my act together and made the logos all I haven't got the same logo made in different sizes to accommodate different platforms, so that's why there's a bit of disparity there. But the original one was encouraging conversations, or one of the earlier ones was encouraging conversations, but I found that was a bit kind of self-helpy. There is a large self-help element to what I'm doing, but not in the traditional sense, and I don't want it to go down that kind of corny, you can be all you want to be. I don't want to do all that. That's cringeworthy and vomit-inducing, and I don't want to do that. So I thought provoking conversations was a bit more of a hard stance, and just a better way of getting the point across. But anyway, I'm getting rid of both. So it's going to read off the lead at the top, and then underneath it it's going to say not just a podcast, which I think is kind of cool, because first and foremost, it tells you that it's a podcast. Secondly, it tells you that it's more than that, in a way that I think kind of works. And then the tagline, I think, is going to be I've forgotten my own tagline. Off the lead, not just a podcast. Yes, the tagline is going to be provoking conversations and initiating change. So bearing that in mind, I'm going to get a sign made. Now I'm talking something, how big would it be? I don't know, maybe 8 foot square? No, that's way too big, that's huge, Jesus Christ. Maybe 5 foot square? 4 foot square? What would 4 foot square be the size of it? 5 foot square, I think, is thereabouts. And I'm going to, so it'll be basically just like a sign on a sheet of plastic or whatever they put signage on these days. And I'll make up a little stand. And what I was kind of thinking was, the only way you could get at least at one stage, an almost portable basketball hoop. You've probably seen the things around, they're not as popular as the ones were, I don't think, but it's basically like a large plastic tank that sits on the ground that you either fill with water or sand or both, and that's just a weight, and coming up out of that is a pole, and you have your hoop, your basketball hoop, and your backboard, and it's something that can be kind of wheels in and out of somewhere. So imagine something like that as a stand as such for this 5 foot square sign, which would be just the logo, off the lead, the fist holding the mic, and not just a podcast. That fist, if I've never mentioned it before, actually comes from a precursor to the UFC, and a Japanese organisation called Pride. It was called Pride FC, Pride Fighting Championship. It was an early version of the UFC. I highly recommend you look it up online. Pride had some nasty elements to it. Soccer kicks were a move in Pride. Google Pride soccer kicks, and for those of you that aren't into that kind of thing, I'll explain briefly what they were. Head kicks of a grounded opponent were fair game in Pride. So if you knocked a lad to the ground with a punch or a kick or whatever, you could literally kick him in the head as hard as you fucking wanted. Ooh. Stomping was all the
rage back then as well, like head stomping. So again, you knock a guy to the ground and he's on his back looking up at you, you're standing in front of him, stamping on that man's face and head was fair game. So it was a fucking great show. And I don't mean that from a kick him in the balls perspective. I don't mean it like that. I mean it was just, it was what it was of its time, and it was, I don't think the UFC arguably would never have existed if it wasn't for Pride. There was another Japanese organisation that I'm at a loss for something similar. It was Pride and another one. But anyway, I digress. If you stick Pride MMA or Pride FC or Pride Fighting Championship into Google Images, you'll get their logo, which was a fist essentially. And that fist is the fist that holds my microphone and my logo. So that's just a bit of a hark back to the early days of mixed martial arts. Should have said the early days of modern mixed martial arts. But anyway, off the lead advertising. So I stick that 5x5 sign on something similar to one of those kind of basketball stands. So break off the hoop and screw it on or hang it on the backboard, say. And the idea being that I stick it on the side of the road in front of a speed van and take a photo of it. Because the likes of that could possibly get picked up by one of those Joe.ie fuckers or Lad Bible crowds or one of those hooers or something similar, or maybe it might be just shared more than me saying, hi guys, share my page. So that's one idea of an off the lead advertising campaign that I've had. Campaign's the wrong word, idea said. Another one was, and I had the fucking perfect opportunity for it too there during the fucking blizzard when they moved the Arctic Circle. I had intended on going swimming. I kind of got put off. Well, I couldn't do it, number one, because during the blizzard herself was in labour for the majority of it. So that ruled out doing anything other than holding her hand and telling her to breathe. But what I would have been cool to do would have been not only to go swimming in a lake while, it was snowing or there was like fucking 8 foot of snow on the ground. What would have been better again, the idea that I had was to go swimming in, I was about to say the Phoenix Park, but no, even fucking more central, Stephen's Green. That would have made for quite the viral video, I think. Me swimming across the little pond thing in Stephen's Green and it being a winter wonderland as such. That might have gotten a bit of traction, and I could have said from the water, tune in to the Off the Lead podcast, blah 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 blah. I would have thought of something maybe a little bit more succinct than that. Not that you can get much more succinct than tune into the Off the Lead podcast. But anyway, I'm just on the 80 minutes. I'm just coming through Blanche now. I've hit Lit Roadway. Actually, I've probably been in Lit Roadway for quite a while. But I can see what would have been the Quinn building, what's now the Liberty building. So, yeah, that'll give you an idea of how quickly you can get about at 4 o'clock in the morning. And it's in no small part why I do my deliveries at this hour. Traffic is just kind of non-existent in a really kind of cool way. But anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. I might even do another one this morning. And that idea of finishing the 40 in the 40 days. If that's something that you'd like me to strive for, let me know. imoffthelead@gmail.com. Check out the Patreon page. Familiarise yourself with Patreon. Support me on it. Don't support me on it. Support someone on it. Get on the Patreon bandwagon. Do. That'll do you good. I think everyone really should get on that bandwagon, and if there's alternatives to Patreon that I should be on instead of Patreon, or that I could be on as well as Patreon, is there a place for me on Kickstarter? Is that worth investigating? It's probably worth investigating, but look, I know little to nothing about it, and I've just realised that my headphone jack hasn't been plugged in for the second part of this recording, so fuck. I hope the sound is as good as it needs to be. So you'll have noticed at the start of this recording, I'm sure, that the sound was thereabouts, but then I did pause it because I just, like now, I was lost for words, and I don't want to have too much dead air, and I'm not opposed to the idea of pausing it. I'd sooner get to a point whereby I didn't need to, but as is evident in this recording, I did need to. And what I need to do is fucking remember to stick the fucking microphone back into the fucking audio jack of the fucking phone. So, fingers crossed the audio is thereabouts good enough. It's a mistake I'm not hoping to make ever again. Famous last words and all that jazz. But look, if me banging out 40 and actually finishing as I had intended to start, if that's something that really appeals to you, let me know. imoffthelead@gmail.com. Hit me up and give me a fucking email of encouragement, or just tell me who you'd like to have on. Maybe there's a type of guest that I haven't got on that you think is in need. Is there a demographic? Is there a type of person that I have omitted from my guest list so far? Yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll chat to you tomorrow, or possibly even sooner.